Hey guys, welcome to the webinar. I'm so glad you're here tonight to join Henry Washington and myself and Hannah, and also Elise from DealMachine is going to join us. And as you guys are joining, I would love for you guys to type in the chat where you're calling in from tonight. So this is going to be a really great webinar for you guys. Because Henry, just were you doing wholesaling before you picked up DealMachine 2 months ago?
No, I've mostly been buy and hold, and I do about 6 to 10 flips a year.
Oh, wow.
And so I was looking to kind of find a new way to generate more leads and find more deals. And so I hopped on DealMachine to give it a go, and it worked.
It went.
Yeah, it went.
That's great. So Henry, why don't we start by maybe you giving like an overview about how you originally got started with those buy and holds and with those flips, just so everyone has some good context.
Sure. So my real estate investment journey started about 3.5 years ago. I, for lack of a better term, found real estate through panic. I got married pretty quick after I met my wife. So I went from single to married in a very short period of time. And your life goals and priorities change when there's a wife and potential kids in the future. And so I quickly realized that I didn't have the financial backing to give my family the support and the future I felt like they deserved. And so I woke up in the middle of the night and started panicking about how I'm going to make money, and started Googling like side hustles and how to generate income, and kept seeing a bunch of articles about real estate. And so I just decided at 3 a.m. that I was going to do real estate. I didn't know what that meant, but I was like, sure, I'll just do that. So
that's great. I feel like some of the best decisions are made at 3 a.m.
Amen.
And trying to find a solution, and you're Googling things to find the solution. That's great. So, are you still married?
Still married.
Hey, it worked. That's great.
It all worked out. We started buying property, and now I'm 60 rentals in and going strong.
Wow. So let's back up here. So how did you get from 3 a.m. I need to do something that's going to earn more money so I can take care of my family, to having 60 rentals?
Yeah, man. I think mindset shift is kind of the key there. I just really started to change my mindset about money and finances, and started just throwing money into savings and trying to make things work on less income. And then I also just started telling people that I was a real estate investor and that I was buying rental properties. I just wanted to put that energy out there, and then hopefully that would point me in the right direction. And it did. That's how I found my first.
Oh man, he cut out for me. Okay, Ryan said same here.
I hadn't bought a. You still hear me?
We can now, but you cut out for a lot of that.
Okay. Yeah. So after I put that energy out there, a buddy of mine heard I was buying rental properties, came to me. He was in a tight spot with a property he had to sell, and ended up saying, selling me his house, and because he had to sell it pretty quick. And so he sold it at a great price. And so I then had to find money, because I didn't have any money to do any of this either. So I ended up borrowing against my wife's 401k to purchase that property. And so we purchased that property, and then I started to realize how powerful it was, because I started generating income from it, and then immediately started looking into like, how do I market to find more deals? And then that's how my marketing journey started.
Got it. Wow. So you went from working, I assume you had like a W-2 job, and
still do.
Oh, wow. Holy cow. You're such a unique situation. I love it. Yeah. And so you used the money from your W-2 job, you started saving it and investing it.
Yep.
And then in rental properties. And now you have 60, and you've continued to do that. It seems like you're buying rentals every year, and then started out with a friend, but then you started doing marketing, right? Because you wanted to find more and better deals.
I immediately started marketing after that first one came, because I couldn't just rely on friends selling me houses to scale. But I knew, like, once I got that first rent check in my hand, I was like, I need to figure out how to keep this going. And so
Yeah, that's awesome.
then I started doing direct mail. Yep.
Okay, so you started
So I
doing.
started doing direct mail all on my own, just finding lists. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay, and then I feel like there's some area between there and when you picked up DealMachine too. Any other details that you could fill in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I scaled pretty quickly. I ended up partnering up with somebody, and that doubled my or quadrupled my efforts in my marketing. And I got really good at just direct mail marketing and understanding how that works and keeping the lead funnel going. And then, kind of as the pandemic hit, things started to slow down from a direct mail perspective, and I was looking for new ways to generate leads, and to kind of keep my funnel going. And
Oh man, he froze again.
yeah, that's when I kept people friendships. Is that, can you hear me?
You did, yeah. You're partially frozen right now.
I hear you, so it must be me. Okay. I hear you, so it must be me. So let me see if I can make a shift real quick.
Okay.
Sorry about this.
That's all good. You are coming through clear now.
Perfect. Yeah. So I started to I kept seeing whatever you're doing with marketing for like ad campaigns and things, getting DealMachine out there in front of people is working, because I just kept seeing DealMachine pop up. And so I decided to give it a go to try to generate new leads. And I signed up. I think I signed up for the middle tier account to just have 2 drivers, because I knew 2 people I could get to drive for me. And then, like, once I signed them up and I started playing around in the system and I saw just how powerful it could be, I like immediately upgraded. And then I just started recruiting drivers, like, I think all in the same day. So I signed up and then immediately upgraded to the pro, to the what's
The enterprise.
the the enterprise account. Yeah. And immediately started recruiting drivers.
Got it. So you started with the pro, which lets you have 1 driver, but then you wanted to I'm guessing you wanted to recruit more, or you wanted to put a process in place.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew I knew 2 people off the top of my head who would drive for me. And then as I started tinkering around in the software, and like, I knew I was going to go drive as well, I was like, this is going to work. I need to be able to scale this more quickly. And I think the difference between me and maybe somebody who's just getting started or just signing up for DealMachine is, like, I already understood how direct mail marketing works. And so I knew immediately that if I wanted to leverage all of the benefits of DealMachine, that I needed to scale it, that I needed to put the processes in place, because direct mail is a numbers game, and the more leads you get, the more deals you get.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we always say to people who do just join, you've got to add at least 300 properties that look run down as soon as you can, because you've just got to get the numbers on your side. And in higher price markets, that number is a bit higher. But it seems like it's been helping cut your marketing costs from doing those purchase lists. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I think it's been less expensive because I'm not buying a list every time, but it's in the long run, I think I'm spending more money, but I'm also sending more mail, right? Because the DealMachine process is so much easier than what I was doing before, that I wasn't doing it as consistently as I do it with DealMachine, because it's just a few clicks.
Okay.
So before, if I wanted to send mail, I had to go find a list, then I had to scrub that list, then I had to send that list somewhere, and then they had to do some stuff, and then mail went out. And now it's instantaneous. Somebody finds a lead and I can send mail immediately. So I'm sending more mail.
Got it.
This way.
Okay. Interesting. And then you've also gotten 2 deals, right? And you ended up wholesaling those 2 deals.
So I wholetailed them. So I bought them. I completely closed on them. Yeah. And then I sold them as is.
Got it. And then you must have your realtor's license. So when you're right, is that true?
No, I don't have a license. I just buy them. I just buy them as off-market deals, and then I list them. I have a real estate agent list
Oh,
them for
gotcha.
me, and I
Okay,
sell them.
your agent's listing it, and that's what makes it a wholesale deal, is because you're getting it like a wholesale deal, but then you're selling it with an agent on the MLS.
Correct. Buying on my own, selling with an agent.
Very, very cool. And then you have 8 drivers today?
I've got 8 drivers that do driving. I've got more signed up, but sometimes they sign up and don't really get started. But I'd say I've got about 8 drivers that go and find leads, and I've got about 4 of those 8 that are pretty consistent every week. The model I use with them is I pay them weekly for the leads they find, because I want to keep
All right, so he's got, we heard you say you have 8 drivers, and then you pay them weekly for the leads that they find.
getting money for their efforts, so that
I'm a big fan of paying.
yes, I pay weekly. I want to keep them.
Yes, I completely agree. I pay my drivers weekly too, because I want them to stick around. We're experiencing a little breakup here, but I think we're all getting the gist of what you're saying.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I just switched networks, so hopefully it's a little better. But yeah, I want them getting paid every week. I want to keep them happy and hungry and wanting to go find more deals, because the happier they are, the more beneficial it is for me.
Yeah, totally agree with you. This is great. I love hearing about how you've done this. Where did you end up recruiting your drivers after the 1 or 2 that you said knew that would want to drive? You was like friends that you knew would want to drive for you.
Yeah, I put an ad out on my Instagram just looking for people who were hungry to, make a little extra money and learn a little bit about real estate. And that got me a few drivers. And then I also, because of the pandemic, I am home working my day job a lot. And so I worked with your team to build an ad that I could post to my front door, because we are habitually ordering food and my wife keeps Amazon in business, so there's always somebody delivering something here. And so I posted ads on the door out front to kind of get people's attention that says, hey, delivery drivers, if you want to make some extra money, here's what I pay weekly. If you're interested, go to this link and sign up. And I've gotten a couple of drivers doing that as well.
That's great. So you're using, gotcha, your Amazon delivery driver was interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Posts on Instagram as well.
Yeah, Instagram. I had a UPS driver sign up, so that, she does some driving for me. And
yeah, that's great. Okay, we've got a lot of people asking how much you pay your drivers, so we've got to answer that question.
Sure. Yeah. No, I pay $2 per qualified lead. And then I pay a $500 bonus if I close on a property identified by one of my drivers.
That's really nice.
So it's a more expensive strategy than some people do, but like I said, I want to keep them paid. Keeping them paid works for me.
Yeah. That's similar to, I pay $20 an hour and they have to find 12 an hour. Mm-hmm. So I think, that would work out to a little less than $2 a lead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I haven't found that my drivers need the bonus to feel like they're excited. They seem to feel excited. I haven't done a bonus on my end before, but I have heard other people do that too.
Yep. It's like I said, when I first signed up, I didn't know what would or wouldn't work. I listened to a couple of the webinars and interviews you had and kind of saw what people were doing and just thought, if I put myself in their shoes, like if I was getting money every week, it would motivate me to get in the car again. So that's kind of why I picked that strategy.
And I think I want to clarify, when I said $20 an hour, that they have to meet the goal of adding 12 qualified properties per hour. Right. I don't know if I fully said that, so I wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think you've got a lot of fans. And you've also got a lot of questions.
Sure.
So, if there's anything else, I think we're going to start bringing some people on to ask their questions.
Let's do it.
Hannah's going to manage that. I saw this one guy, Ryan, was adding a lot. Oh, good. There he is. Hey, Ryan. Hey, you're muted.
Sorry, guys. I wasn't really expecting this, but I'm happy to be on. Thanks for hosting this. And yeah, so should I just ask
Yeah,
the first
you had a
question
bunch
I
of
had?
questions. They all looked like great questions. So I think just fire away.
Yeah, let me go back and kind of see. Sorry, it's tough to. Yeah, okay, so the first question I had was, how important is it for you to have you and your significant other on the same page? Because you mentioned borrowing against her 401k, so I can imagine that conversation was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I am very, very fortunate to have a super supportive wife who has kind of been on the same page with me from day one. Now, it's not to say that it didn't take some convincing, but you know, I kind of put together a plan from day one of how I thought we would get there, and she has been on board from day one. So I think it was like once I told her that I'd found that house and that we were going to have to come up with 20 grand for a down payment, and that I think the way I found for us to get that money is for us to borrow from her 401k. She was on board. I mean, I believe she made the call to her employer the next day, and we had the money in like a week or two. Like, so it was. It's always been about us. It's never been like my journey. It's I wanted to do this so that I could provide her and my daughter with the life I feel like they deserve, and I knew I couldn't give her the way I was doing things. So I think just her understanding that inevitably this is for her, that she was on board.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. And I don't have a wife or long-term girlfriend or significant other or anything like that, but that kind of fits in with me too. Just I have a little, nephew, so it's all about family and trying to set him up, and eventually when I do have kids and a wife, that's definitely the goal, or at least my why. So
I love it.
that's great. Let's see.
Hey,
Before
you might find a wife on this webinar if you're not careful.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe. What sites do you recommend for building lists outside of DealMachine? Like, what were you using before you found DealMachine that you had success with?
Man, I used a ton of stuff before I got on DealMachine. Mostly like list source was really all I was. That was kind of the most accurate data I could find. I tried some other stuff that I wouldn't recommend because I wasted some money, but list source. But I think yesterday I went and I built like 5 lists on DealMachine in like 5 minutes. Like, so that's pretty much where I do everything now.
Great, cool. And then I think this was in the webinar invite, but where are you located? Are you somewhere in the South?
I'm in Northwest Arkansas, so the very northwest corner.
Okay, cool. And what are your conversion and response rates like from the qualified leads you get from DealMachine and your drivers?
Yeah. Gosh, I should have looked at how many mailers I have right before I started this. I don't remember how many I have going right now. I'm sure someone can see my account over there. But I would say with DealMachine, it's a little different to track because before I was sending mail I was sending, like 500 mailers a week. So I knew how many I sent, and then I knew how many phone calls came in. But now with DealMachine, I'm just cranking them. So as soon as somebody finds a lead every day, I'm cranking out new mail. And so with DealMachine, you'll kind of get you'll get a text or a notification that says, hey, you got, 40 pieces of mail that's going to be delivered today. Be ready for the phone calls, right? And so some days it might be 5 pieces of mail, and some days it might be 50 pieces of mail. Some days it might be 100 pieces of mail that get delivered. But I found that I'm getting phone calls every day. And sometimes that might be from touches from a week or so ago, or sometimes a lot of the times it's new people getting mail that kind of give you the call. So I don't have exact numbers for you, but my phone rings more consistently now because I can mail more consistently.
Okay, got it. That I don't want to take up, other people's time. And I think, people are starting to type in questions and stuff. So I'll let somebody else kind of take over, but I'll, think of more as the webinar goes on. But appreciate it, Henry. That's awesome. This webinar has been great so far. So
nice to meet you, Ryan.
Yeah, you too.
What's your next step, you think, for yourself?
Me personally?
Yeah, well,
Yeah. So Henry, what was the term you used for wholesaling to buy?
Wholesale. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm actually based out of Los Angeles, and I'm working with a real estate agent who is trying to take advantage of the ADU laws out here. So on an R2, R3, and quadplex or 4-unit apartments, you can build up to 2 additional ADUs on them, but still benefit from the traditional financing.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is wholesale, I guess, find these properties in the LA area, and then with big enough lots, and try to convert them into, a duplex to a 4-plex, or a 3 to a 5, or a 4 to a 6. So that's kind of, that's kind of the plan.
So buy it for force appreciation. And then
Yes, sir. Refinance it. Yeah. And then either, exit strategies would be holding it or selling it. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's pretty creative.
Yeah. Thanks, Henry. I appreciate it. And thanks for asking, David.
You're welcome. It looks like next up we've got Stephanie, and we see your picture. Are you there, Stephanie?
Hi there, I am here. I've got my little one, so I won't go on camera, but.
Okay, that's fine. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on here. Yeah, so I guess my biggest question is, so you're getting all these leads, but how are you getting the capital to keep, buying these houses and flipping them? Are you going through like just normal, standard, conventional loans? And then are you going like through the BRRRR method? How does that work for you?
Sure. Am I allowed to shamelessly plug on here? So I have.
Yeah.
I have, so I use loans from small banks, small local banks, portfolio loans that are designed specifically for real estate investors. I actually just finished e-course on how to find small local banks and use those and leverage those banks to fund your deal. So I actually don't, I've leveraged these banks and I get 100% financing. So I don't pay money usually to buy a property because I leverage these relationships with these banks to fund the majority of the deal, right? The idea being that if you're truly using DealMachine in the right ways and you're truly finding great deals, right? You can let these banks are going to be hungry to want to finance these deals because you're getting them so far below market value. And sometimes if you find the right bank, they're able to fund all or the majority of the purchase and renovation costs in order to purchase that property. So I have a course that's on my Instagram. You can go to Independence Realty Group on Instagram and click the link in my bio. And there's a course that'll show you what I'm doing. But small local banks is how I finance pretty much everything.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Stephanie, you take care of that little one now.
Thanks. He's being good. He's not crying right now, so that's a plus.
Oh, good. So, Henry, can I get a portfolio loan if I'm just trying to get my first property, or is that something you do once you've maxed out, your 10 Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac type loans?
You can do it from the start. You can do it after you've maxed out. It's really kind of up to what your strategy is. So for me, I try to keep my 10 Fannie Freddie loans for deals where I find something that's in like prime location where I know I'm going to have to pay more to land a deal in that area because it's such a high desirable area. I want to save one of those 10 loans for that because that'll give me 30-year fixed rate, right? Super low interest rate. And it'll really allow me to have lower payments because I have to pay more.
Yeah.
And for the deals that aren't in those prime locations, but are still really good deals, I like to use the small bank portfolio loans because they're on a shorter amortization schedule. They're normally like 20 to 25 years.
Okay.
And the interest rates tend to be a little higher than just a Fannie Freddie loan. But the loan terms are super favorable. And so.
Wait, which are the, okay. So what I heard this is super interesting for me because I have 10 properties and they're all like the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac type things.
Yep.
which you get the best rates, and it's 30-year, which I like, keep the payments down. But what's the favorable part of the terms that you like? Can you explain that again?
Yeah. So again, so kind of a relationship I have with one of the banks here is as long as I'm purchasing the property, if the purchase price and the renovation costs are under a certain loan to value amount, sometimes somewhere between 70 and 80%. So like that means if the after repair value is if my purchase and repair is within 70% of that after or 80% of that after repair value, then they'll loan 100% of the purchase and the rehab. So the terms are favorable to me because I don't have to bring anything to the table. I just have to show up and sign, right?
That is really nice.
And then I could take that deal. Like if I'm going to wholesale it, then it's cost me nothing to make money, right?
That portfolio loan just like lets you take down a lot of properties with speed. You don't have to go through that lengthy process of underwriting a traditional like 30-year.
Correct.
Got it. That's amazing. Ryan, how you doing, Ryan? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Sir.
we sure can.
So one of my main question was already asked. I was wondering, how you scaled up from, your first purchase to 60 properties with, limited capital. So I was looking at your course here. You have any discount codes going on right now?
Use code NEW, NEW, and you'll get $15 off.
Fantastic.
Smart man.
That was the main question I had at the moment.
Ryan, what's your next step?
So I have right now, I have a couple rental properties already.
Congrats.
I need to refinance one of them, and then with the payoff, so I'm going to use the money I get from the refinance to completely pay off one of the other ones, so I can owner finance it to the tenant who's living in there.
Where are you at? What market?
I'm in New Mexico.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's everybody's market is challenging in its own way.
Yeah.
Mine is challenging because there's limited investor activity here. Like Albuquerque is kind of a hub for it, and then the rest of the state is pretty much dead.
Have you started using DealMachine yet?
It's been on my back burner. I haven't actually used it.
Yeah.
Dude,
do it. Yeah. Just sign up and go drive a neighborhood tomorrow, man. And it's so cool. It was literally game changing for me. And I've been mailing for years, man. I'm telling you, just the ability to mail immediately and kind of put that on autopilot has been game changing. So at least then you got some hooks in the water, right? You got some lines in the water.
Yeah, I think it'll probably, that's probably what I'm going to do, because I find since I don't have a team and I'm just doing this on my own, one of my holdups is I have so many different things going on that I'll identify a property and then I'll just never get around to actually sending anything out to it. So if I can just, take a photo, have everything sent out, it would probably save me a lot of time.
I probably drove for maybe 3 or 4 days before any of my other drivers started driving.
Yeah.
And so it was just me identifying properties when I first started. So the very first deal that I closed with DealMachine was on a property that I found, and it was a pretty decent payday. So you never know, man.
What is your average discount that you're getting on the properties you're finding?
So my criteria is I like to buy at 70% of the aftermarket value, or the after repair value, minus any repairs that the property needs. In my market, if I can hit that number, I know I can make money no matter what my exit strategy is, whether I sell it as is or whether I renovate it myself. We do several actual full renovations a year as well, or if I keep it as a rental. My preferred strategy is to keep everything as a rental.
You have any advice on quickly but kind of accurately estimating repairs? That's kind of one of my things that, I walk through these properties, and my estimate on repairs is very conservative. It's very high,
Yep.
but I feel like it's losing me deals because then I make my offer and it feels like, they kind of look at it like I'm lowballing them, but I'm actually trying to like base it on what I'm seeing.
The pro tip is to network with contractors so that when you get a lead and you're going to go look at a house, just take your contractor with you, let him walk it with you when you see it, and then have them give you a bid for repairs. And then you've got hard numbers on what the rehab costs are. And then you can rinse and repeat that when you go look at another property later. You don't need to bring a contractor every time because now you've got something to compare your numbers against.
Okay. That's good.
Great questions, Ryan. I just took a vacation to Santa Fe, New Mexico a couple months ago now.
Yeah, that's where I live.
No way. Get out of town.
Pretty much.
It was a great city. I didn't know it's 400 years old.
Got some pretty old structures in New Mexico, yeah.
Absolutely. So, we only have 100-year-old houses here. I don't know. Would you be wholesaling a 400-year-old house?
That's one of the challenges over here is like a lot of the country is very cookie cutter with their houses. There's a lot of subdivisions and stuff, and everything is kind of similar. In New Mexico, you have such a variety of structures. You can have, multi-million-dollar homes next to a trailer park. And like one of the first property that I tried to wholesale over here, the neighbor was like Val Kilmer. And, then the house I was trying to wholesale was okay, but it wasn't fantastic. And I ended up having to cancel the transaction. But, it's really hard to comp properties here because every single house is custom, especially the older ones, they're Adobe. So the repairs on those are higher than,
Gotta do the stucco, right? Is that the same thing? Adobe, stucco? Yep.
Stucco, you have to actually carve out if you're trying to change where the electrical is or the plumbing.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's very charming, but it certainly makes construction a different animal. And
keep in mind too, like difficulty equals opportunity, man. If the harder it is, the less competition you're going to have, and the more opportunity there is for you. So if you stick to it, right, you can really make a good niche for yourself.
I love that. That's definitely a good reminder, Henry. I feel like Gary Vee, I've heard him say multiple times, he's like, you've got to figure out the way to scale the unscalable. Right. And if many people think, Santa Fe, not a market that we can, set up wholesaling, like you figure it out, then the money's all yours.
All yours, man. Keep it up, man. Keep that funnel going, and it'll pay off.
We'll keep it up.
Oh yeah, you can wholesale anywhere. You can actually wholesale anywhere.
Yeah.
The business model is just like a pawn shop. You understand. They're just they need speed and convenience, and they're going to provide you a discount, and because you're providing them that speed and convenience.
Absolutely.
Terrence, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing great. Where are you calling in from?
I live in Austin, Texas.
Awesome. So what kind of questions do you have for us? First of all, what kind of real estate are you doing in Austin, Texas?
I actually just started watching your videos like a week ago.
So you're familiar with Elise?
And yeah, so now I'm in that process now, and so been in sales for like 10 years, selling security system, always running into investors with the new builds, and so it's always interested me to figure out what I can do to get into real estate, and wholesale is the way that I'm looking to go. So just trying to see what will be the ideal way in the first 90 days here to start fast tracking that plan and what would be kind of the top 3 steps Mr. Henry would suggest moving forward to kind of fast track that.
Top 3 steps to getting started finding deals?
Yes.
Yeah. For me, it's pretty simple, man. It's all about, first, you need to understand what a good deal looks like in your market, right? You got to fully understand, like, because if you're going to wholesale, wholesaling's not easy by any stretch, because it requires you to be good at everything that a real estate investor does, right? And so you are going to have a great grasp at what does a good deal look like in my market, so that when you come across one, you'll know immediately whether you should buy it or not. And then you need to figure out, okay, now that I know what a good deal looks like, step 2 is, how am I going to find deals, right? How am I going to keep that funnel coming to me, right? So that I always have a flow of good deals, right? And so that's where DealMachine comes in super handy. It's because it really makes that funnel easy for you. So, and then once you have those 2 things figured out, the third is, how am I going to finance those deals, right? And so if you're going to wholesale, financing is not really a huge issue until it is, right? Until you've got to close on something. So I tell people, I tell wholesalers, right, because wholesalers tend to get a bad name when they don't do things properly. So a way to keep yourself out of trouble wholesaling is to never put anything under contract that you yourself wouldn't or won't close on if it comes down to that, right? So if you make yourself the promise of never backing out of a contract, then you know that everything that you do put under contract will be a stellar deal, because you wouldn't paint yourself into a corner, right? And so if you're constantly only putting stellar deals under contract, you'll never have to close on anything, because you'll always find somebody to buy it, because you know you're getting stellar deals, right? So I would just say, if you make that your mantra, never put anything under contract that you won't close on yourself, you'll always find great deals. And if you're really leveraging DealMachine and using all of the features to their fullest, you'll always have a flow of deals to be able to do that.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons DealMachine was kind of super interesting to me, because part of my job now, all day long, every day, is cold calling and door knocking. And so DealMachine just make it easy.
Man,
and so I was like, hey, I can do that.
You should have a deal by the end of next week, man. If you're willing to cold call and door knock and you're good at it, you can pull a list on DealMachine and then get the phone numbers immediately and start making calls, man. That's a great way to find deals. I'm not that guy. Like, I'm not the cold call guy. So I stick to the mail. But if you're good at those things, man, you can get a deal pretty quick.
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm actually born and raised from Jonesboro, Arkansas. So I convinced some of my cousins there to be drivers for me. So that's why I was interested to see kind of how you go by hiring your drivers and how you pay them and stuff like that. So because I'm going home next week for Thanksgiving, so I kind of want to tie them guys down and go ahead and get that started there, because I know that's a pretty good market too, and the homes there are pretty low on the low end.
Absolutely.
Terrence, I would love to hear a door knock. Could we simulate a door knock? Do you have any tips?
No problem.
Or any tips for anybody else who wants to door knock?
I always say the best thing that works for me is to always put the customer concerns first, and the money will come second. So every customer I door knock, every appointment I go on to, the first thing I ask them is, hey, what's the reason for me being here today? Why are you looking for security? And just letting them go ahead and talk as much as you want. And then you can always circle back to use that at the end when you're trying to discuss with them price and going that route with them. I always find that that's the perfect route, and just being honest and upfront. Every customer loves that. And the person who's selling, the person who's buying know at the end of the day, the conversation is going to come down to the price. But if I'm honest and upfront with you, hey, this is your wish list. This is the proposal of your wish list. This is the second proposal of what we can do that's in your budget. doing it that way always works perfect for them because they know you're not just there treating them like a number.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you take a very informative approach. You're kind of inquiring and you're informing them rather than trying to hard sell them.
100%.
Yeah, that feels good. So I'm curious, you were selling security, you said, right?
Right.
How many doors would you knock before you know, per deal? Let's say, would you have to knock 100 doors to sell a security system?
Today I door knocked it 2 hours this morning after appointment. Closed one deal by door knocking, set up another 3 appointments. So that's normally average for me. So each week I normally close about 5 security deals a week.
Got it. So how many houses would you knock in 2 hours, say?
This morning when I counted, it was about 32 doors.
Wow, that's pretty good.
That's awesome, man.
You're really good.
Yeah,
You
so,
must be really good.
I've been in security sales for 10 years, so it's all I know right out of school. So it's nothing. I always say technology just make life easier, but customers are normally the same. And it seems like in this business too, you're normally going to get the same 6 to 7 responses every single time from a customer.
Right. Mm-hmm.
In real estate, man, it's a people business, man. You're solving people's problems when you're buying at a discount. You're not buying homes, you're buying situations, right? And so if you can, if you've got the knack for door knocking, like that's your superpower, man. That's your superpower as a deal finder, right? To be able to take these leads you generate on DealMachine and then door knock and cold call at a high success rate, man. You be raking it in, man. That's your superpower.
Yeah, and I kind of like the skip trace part of it because obviously it's not traditional door knocking in this part of real estate, just because normally if it's an absentee owner or a vacant property, no one's going to be there, but not being afraid to pick up the phone and call them. And we always say in security worlds, you want to get to the 7 no's as soon as possible that morning. That way you can get to all of them yes and setting appointments later in the day.
Absolutely.
That's great. This has been great and interesting for me. So I guess if you're going to door knock for DealMachine, or if you're going to door knock for real estate, I guess you'd have to go out separate time, right? Not on the company's time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so this past week, how I've been doing it, I've been handling all of my security stuff in the morning before noon, and then from noon to 7, driving for dollars with the DealMachine. I live in Austin, but I actually had an appointment in Killeen yesterday, and so after lunch, I just stayed in the Killeen area and just drove by houses, taking pictures and sending out the mailers and figuring out how to do that. And now I'm moving to the portion to where I'm looking to learn the best way to download a list and start calling them as well.
Okay, cool. So I like that you're going to drive for dollars, and then you're also going to, download some lists and call them. While Hannah's getting the next person on, what's like your very next step that you're going to do?
The very next step for me is definitely to get that list, and I've been playing around with my schedule. So the goal is to start calling for 20 hours. It's spacing out 20 hours a week to start cold calling and hitting them that way as well too. And then I'm putting pressure on myself to have a deal closed and not wrapped up, but a deal signed from a seller by the end of next month. This is my goal right now.
Love it, love it, love it. Make sure you work your numbers backwards. I know you're with your security, you're getting a deal for every 30 or so houses. I would say with real estate, you probably got to find at least 300 rundown looking houses. Maybe in Austin, Texas, maybe a little more, but probably not too much. But just set that expectation and try to hit that goal as soon as you can, so that way next month you've got the right amount of leads coming in.
Okay, that sounds fair enough.
Cool. Thanks, Terrence. It was really nice having you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Wes, are you there? Hannah, do you remember what question Wes asked?
Yes, he had a few. The first one was, how do you verify that your driver is giving you a qualified lead or not. So Henry, how do you do that with your drivers?
Sure. So I've obviously leveraged the portal that kind of has all the videos. It helps walk them through what a qualified lead would look like. So they are required to watch those videos before they can get started driving. And then once they start identifying properties, I will go through and look at the picture. I'm looking for the level of distress in the picture. And then I'm also looking for purchase, the last purchase, right? So if it's been if it's a new purchase within the last 3 years, I automatically disqualify those because, you know, as everyone knows, in order to have a deal, you need equity and you need equity and you need motivation, right? If they don't have equity or motivation, they don't need us. They need a real estate agent. So immediately I'm filtering out anything that's a recent purchase. And then I'm looking through the distress, and the distress for me will depend on the neighborhood. I know my market well. I know, you know, where these houses are located. And so some areas, I don't require the house to have a ton of distress because I purchased in that neighborhood before and understand kind of, you know, what I should buy or shouldn't buy. And in some areas, I need a high level of distress before I mail that property. So, and then your drivers start to understand kind of what you're looking for. I have conversations with them, right? I'll tell them, hey, I saw what you put in there this year. I'd like you to find some things with a little more distress, or hey, no, you're doing great. Keep sending what you're finding. That feedback is good for them because then they're more understanding of what you're looking for. And so I just make sure that I communicate with them. And but yeah, no, I'm reviewing what they're putting in every day. And then you'll start to see, like, I have drivers. I've got one driver. I know he's got it. Like, he gets it. So I don't even look through too many of his leads. I'm just like, approved. This guy understands it, right? And then there's some drivers that I need to pay a little more attention to.
Yep. Yeah, I'm the same way. We do like a weekly driver meeting on Fridays at 10:30.
Yeah.
We've got a scorecard where it's just like an Excel sheet. I'm like, all right, every week, how many leads, how many hours, and then I'll go review some of their properties.
Yep.
And because we're all in that Zoom call, like, we can all understand, like, if somebody adds the wrong one, then everybody's seeing like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not a good property. Even if it wasn't theirs, they still get to see me give that feedback.
That's cool. I hadn't thought about doing that. That's awesome that you do that.
Will, how you doing?
Hey, doing well, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Where are you calling in from?
Calling in from Los Angeles, California.
Ew.
Fantastic.
I'm from Bakersfield, California. All these people.
There you go.
Yep.
And what have you been working on real estate wise in Los Angeles?
We're doing flips out here in Los Angeles, and the majority of our flips come from the MLS. So what we're working on doing now is kind of building out this additional pipeline of deals. And, you know, hearing Henry just talk wonders about DealMachine and, you know, just really kind of trying to figure out how we can ramp up the amount of deals that we get outside of the MLS. Obviously, we're pretty good at finding and targeting those, but we just want to get more leads and, you know, have more people be able to provide those leads. And seems like this, you know, driving system is a good way that Henry's been able to kind of take advantage of it.
Yeah, man. I mean, especially now in this COVID era where people are wanting to spend less time around other people, like, it's been good for a couple of reasons, because it doesn't require people to be around other people to go out and make money, and then you're providing a source of income for people who might be in a situation that they need money. I know one of my drivers is, I mean, she's a hustler. She cleans for me when I need places cleaned. She's, you know, so she was happy when I told her, hey, you want to make some extra money doing the driving? And she was on it immediately. So it's helpful.
I would say, based on just my observations, I've been giving the advice that you need to find 300 distressed properties. But in Los Angeles, I would really put that expectation higher, because the price of your market's higher and the profit from your deals is also going to be higher. But I would say in Los Angeles, like, you got to go for adding like 1,500.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, I agree. It takes a lot of deals on the MLS. It's not like you find one every hour. You know, it certainly is. It's a repetition game. It's the more and more you do, the more opportunities you're going to get. I heard Ryan, I think, was one of the other people that kind of was on asking questions earlier, saying the same thing, like, how do I know I'm not lowballing? And it's, you're not lowballing when they accept the offers. That's when you're like, oh, okay, cool. So somebody was just waiting for this offer to come through, and you're like, yep, that was the one. I knew all those other ones. I wasn't emotionally attached to those anyway. I was waiting for you anyway. And that's when it's like, okay, cool. I just need to go back and do that same thing. I heard Henry use that as his rehab method. You kind of use what has worked and use that as a guidepost and say, now on all of our deals, we cite those prior deals and say, hey, we purchased something similar to this around here, and people are like, okay, cool. If you've already taken down a deal in that range, you're probably going to be experienced enough to take this one down too.
Right.
What is the average price of a deal that you're doing there, Will?
Typically we're doing like starter homes out here, so just the kind of home in LA that has the biggest buyer pool for it. You have a lot of people looking to move out of apartments and into homes, a lot of people looking to move from out of state into Los Angeles. And that starter home just happens to have the biggest buyer pool. So, we find that's easier than looking for that big movie star home. Although like Henry was saying, although the bigger the problem, the bigger the profit. It's also just, the smaller the buyer pool, and, given the uncertainty in the market and the future, we're just kind of sticking to those starter homes.
So what does a starter home run you in LA? Like $500,000?
About $400,000-$500,000. Yeah, man, it's pretty unreal when you look at it comparatively to some of the other markets that have been mentioned.
So here's the way that I've seen the math work. I'm curious if you agree. Wholesale fees usually 5 to 10%. So on a $500,000 house, you're wholesaling that for like a 25 to 50K profit. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, again, we tend to take down most of the deals that we find ourselves. Just like Henry said, we're kind of targeting those deals that work best for us. But I've seen wholesalers pass off deals to me that I saw, on the MLS or that I saw earlier. And I'm like, okay, wow, these guys are making a good, like you said, 5-10% on those deals, if not more.
Yeah. So it's worth it. Even though you got to do more marketing to find those big deals, it's worth it because the payoff's higher.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody says it's hard to invest in California. That's just because you have to pay a little bit more to play, but it's the same to live out here. It's not like you're, renting a house out here for the same that you would somewhere else in the country. So that's just kind of a given.
Right.
There's deals everywhere, man. It's just a matter of, are you in a position to, like, I tell people, when you're looking to find off market deals, you need to pick a strategy that fits your personality type and that you can afford to fund properly, right? And that's going to vary depending on your market. But if you say, because great, yes, cold calls work great, right? But I know me, and after I make 10 cold calls, I'm going to be drained and I'm not going to do it anymore, no matter how much I tell myself I'm going to. So I don't do that method because it doesn't fit my personality type. And I pick a strategy that I know I can afford to fund properly, because direct mail is the same way. If you don't put the right amount of money into it, it's not going to yield the results, because it's literally a numbers game. You want to get your piece of mail in someone's hands at the moment they're thinking about selling. And they may be thinking about selling because you got your piece of mail in their hand the month before and they weren't thinking about it, right? So you had to hit them a couple of times before they got that piece of mail and thought, I want to call this guy. He keeps sending me this letter. I want to see what he's going to offer me.
So that was actually one of my my questions I had typed in was, if you're comfortable kind of giving us a range, like what does that end of month budget line item look for you, like on a month? It sounds like you have 8 drivers. You're pretty aggressively, targeting properties. Like what does that look like for you? If, I recall you saying that you pretty much immediately send out a mailer as soon as it's in there, if it's a qualified home. Yep. So it seems like you're pretty active on that. What does that kind of run you?
Yeah, so if you look at, if I'm sending, let's say, hypothetically, let's say I'm sending 1,000 pieces of mail a month, right, at, what is it, 50 cents, David, for the mailers?
Yeah, it's 55 cents on.
Right. So
it's as low as 49, I think, on the enterprise.
right. So 50 cents times 1,000, right? That'll give you your monthly mail cost, and then $2 per lead, right? And so if I'm sending 1,000, that's $2 that I paid per each one of those qualified leads in order to be sent. And then you know, let's say I took down one of those deals, and I'm gonna pay a $500 bonus, right? So it's not cheap, but if you consider 2 deals, $45,000 in profits, right? It's a drop in the bucket.
No, no, and that's what you always hear is it's a numbers game, you know. So it's not like you're looking at how much it costs to do each individual mailer. It's just, you know, every deal that you take down, you're then using that as your KPI. So if you make, you know, $30,000 on a deal and it costs you $5,000 worth of mailers to get there, you know, everybody knows math. That's, you know, everybody's willing to spend five to make 25, right?
I'll take that trade.
Yeah, I'll take those deals too. So, you know, that makes sense. And, you know, I definitely agree with you. I think, you know, the first thing that kind of turned me onto real estate was, you know, you always hear about people flipping, like, you know, there's people that flip 200 homes a year out here in LA. And you're like, man, there's probably not anything left over for me. But then you realize, you know, what you said, Henry, which is there's always another deal. There's nothing in the books that says that deal that was there yesterday, that company got, or that guy got, you know, that there's another deal that's going to be tomorrow that goes to them too. It's, you know, hey, that deal is going to be available tomorrow. You just got to go out and get it. And, you know, that's the coolest thing about real estate is if you're willing to go get it, you can do it.
That's right. 100% agree.
What's your next step, Will?
Next step is to start shifting from, instead of just doing the flips, to start doing some holds. So I want to start holding a couple properties, you know, start building up a little bit of a rental portfolio. You hear guys like Henry, you know, with the massive amount of doors and you know, managing his own you know, properties, and you're like, yeah, man, I mean, it's something you can do as well. And that's another more of a passive revenue stream that I can, you know, kind of take advantage of on the long run.
Love it. When you do your first buy and hold, would you let us know? I mean, especially if it's from DealMachine.
Yeah, of course. No, I think it'll definitely be from DealMachine after talking with you guys today. I think you know, you'll definitely have another subscriber getting on there and you know, figuring out a way to, again, integrate this in. I agree with Henry. Like, I'm not necessarily the one that enjoys cold calling, but if you can have those leads coming to you because you get that mailer in their hand at the right point, you know, why not, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on, guys, and appreciate all the content. Elise, you're always crushing it on Instagram. Love all the stuff that you're doing. And Henry, I just followed you as well here, so
Awesome.
appreciate you guys. If you don't mind, give me a thumbs up. I'll take a picture of you for the gram. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will, make sure you follow happy_wholesaler.
I will.
Tag me in that picture, man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And now that it's 8 o'clock here on the East Coast time, we're going to stick around and switch to a demo here shortly. And Henry's only committed an hour of his time. So if he is able to come, we're certainly going to want him to stay here. But Henry, we know how busy it is to run a business. And we know that you've got a family, which is the reason why you started your business. And
absolutely.
So you giving an hour of your time to help out tonight means so much. And just wanted to say thank you again for doing that.
I've truly enjoyed it. I actually am going to jump off. I want to put my kid to bed. She goes to bed at 7 here, and I've got another call at 7:30. So I want to spend some time with her. But I really, really, really appreciate it, guys. It's been so fun, man.
Thanks, Henry.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Henry. This was amazing.
I love it. Thank you guys, and for everybody still listening, man. The best part about DealMachine are these guys right here. Anytime I've had a question and send an email, it's on the weekend or at night, I get a response. The customer service has been far better than I even imagined. So if you're concerned about spending money and not having somebody have your back, man, that is not the case. These folks have been on it.
Thank you so much for saying that. You've had a great experience.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you, guys. I really, really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, guys, so definitely connect with Henry. His Instagram was just up there. Can you put it back one more time, Hannah, just so you guys have your pens and papers, go ahead and type that in right now.
And give me a follow. If you ever have questions, shoot me a message. I try to answer every message I get, guys. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So definitely take Henry up on that and follow him and ask him his questions. It's going to help you guys just get unstuck if you guys are ever feeling stuck. So the next thing we're going to do is a demo of DealMachine. We're going to go through each menu item and show you each part of the features. So that way you guys feel comfortable with the tool, and then you can chime in and ask some questions along the way there as well. So Elise, would you mind helping me with the demo?
I would be honored.
I'll share my screen.
Okay,
But
cool.
if you want to help me explain some of the stuff, they might appreciate hearing a different voice, to be honest.
What? David's done an amazing job tonight too, you guys. Give David a little, he's the CEO. I don't know how many CEOs come on to a webinar bi-weekly.
Well,
oh, Christopher, good night. Glad you could hang out with us.
Good night, Christopher.
David's an awesome, David loves you guys so much. So yeah, give David some love. But so excited about this because I just literally mentioned the dashboard goal and budget setting that people can do.
Gotcha. Now, if you have the basic or pro or the free CRM, your dashboard is more visual and less text. So if you see something slightly different here, that's why. But since we have this one up, let's just go over this one real quick. How about that?
Yeah. So this is the enterprise. If you have been thinking about possibly going to enterprise, this is what your dashboard would look like.
Yeah. And then also there's a little key difference here. It says DealMachine members average 1 deal for every 3,000 leads, distressed properties in Indiana. So this is programmed. We've done our best to really help you set expectations. And I don't know if everyone's dashboard says that, but that's a little tidbits right there about your market.
Yeah.
I want to create $10,000 per month. And so I expect to make $1,000 per deal. I would say 5 to 10 in my market would be realistic. So that would be 1 deal per month. And so it's going to tell me, it's going to adjust this. It's going to say add 300 leads per month. Let's say I got 2 drivers. Each driver must add 38 properties per week while logging, that'll probably take 4 hours because drivers typically add 12 an hour. And so it's going to break down, my expense for the technology fee would probably be around $3,000. You're going to expect to pay this much to your drivers if you're paying $15 an hour. And then also if you're going to send 3 mailers per lead at 49 cents, that would be $440 per month. You don't have to start with a deal this grand. And I think actually on the basic and pro, it's like, hey, to get your first deal, plan on that happening within 3 months or so. Maybe we can pull that up later, but definitely check out your goal setting dashboard, whatever it looks like, and play around with that a little bit.
Yeah, and if you scroll down, you get to see even more cool analytics. Of course, you always get to see the webinar, which right there shows our upcoming one in 2 weeks. So if you all enjoyed this one, I know y'all will also love John and Brianna. They're an amazing couple that we have interviewed. Their success story is going to be coming out. But just like Henry, they're very genuine people that have such good hearts. So definitely go ahead and log in and register for that. It's on, again, you're on your dashboard when you're going through this.
Yes. I have an older account. I don't see my analytics. Let's complete the setup here. Okay.
Oh.
So once you complete your setup, I got nervous. I was like, oh man, the analytics are missing. Now you've got your analytics down here. And I would like to switch accounts, I think, because I think this is not my actual account here. Oh no, it is. Let's see.
Yeah, you got Mooney.
Here we go. All right. where should we begin?
Okay, so really cool thing that our dev teams put together is these little snapshots. If you ever hear Dutch Jackson's D for D, it's snapshot what you see. So this is your little snapshots of your analytics. Plus, you still have the awesome sliding graphs here that actually show you your total investment, you know, how many mailers you have out. So, you know, if we could have logged on and see how many Henry had going out for this month to give you guys, he can track his through here. Also, how many properties have been added, and he can actually filter, and David can do this for his team as well, filter through and see who's added what for a certain period of time. So this helps, I'm guessing, David, like, you know, this helps you with, you know, tracking what your drivers have actually done if they're actually adding those 12 per hour.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can show you how I do that with the drivers.
Yeah.
So we go to the driving tab, and if I go to my routes, I can see where they've actually been driving. And what's interesting is Jeffrey Chubb, that person just signed up from one of my job postings today. I don't even pay him. He's just checking. He's just like doing his little test project for his recruitment business. In Atlanta, I gotta check in on Jeffrey Chubb because I saw his name pop into my account recently. I thought I took that job posting down. But anyway, yeah, so I have 4 drivers here in Indianapolis, and that's what I'd like to focus on. So basically, I can get little snapshots of where they've been driving. I can click on that to actually see this in a map format or a list format. And what's great is I can actually pop into these properties and check and see if his photos are straight, to see if this house looks like it's dated, which it does. And so just like Henry, I don't check every one of these photos, but every week when we do our driver meeting, I like pop in and check a few photos just to make sure they look good. And if not, I can just use an example and be like, guys, don't add this type of property. But no, so what do I do every week when I pay them? I say, okay, starting last week to today, and then also filter it by one of my drivers, Anthony Molina. There you are. So this week, because it's filtered, you know, from November 12th to today, he has driven 48 hours. So he should know his limit's 40. I am from 20 to 40 hours. So honestly, if he goes over 40, he knows I won't pay him. So I'm curious what he's doing there. Sometimes they'll put it on while they're also Uber eating, not technically charging me. So I think that's probably what's going on there. They really love to hustle. Sorry, I kind of hijacked our order of things. Let me go back here.
No. Keep so you just said that you say it's 40 hours a week. Is that for everyone then?
Yes, and we meet weekly, so that way, you know, oopsies like that, I'll pay them and I'll explain it, and everyone hears it, you know, because we're all in that meeting every week. So the first time somebody went over, I paid him, and then I said, like, guys, no, there's no going over here. It's capped at 40, and everyone heard it. So I don't pay everyone else oopsies because everyone witnessed the first one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how we run it here. So yeah, their goal is to say between 20 and 40 hours. And if they're missing that mark, I color it yellow. So Garcia, he's got a ton of jobs, and he's actually not been able to do 20 to 40 consistently. So I've colored some of those yellow as like warnings and mentioning it every time. And then they have to add 12 properties per hour. So if the math doesn't work out, like Garcia added 67 leads in 20 hours, well, I'm not paying for the full 20 hours because I told him it's like, I gotta have 12 an hour. So I'll pay him for like whatever that is equivalent hours. He's probably 5.
Oh, okay.
67 leads. But, you know, but each time something's yellow or red, I'm explaining it to everyone as a group. That way, like, everyone's getting all this information and they're hearing it every week.
Martin is like,
yeah, he's off full 40 hours a week. This is what he does. He drives for me.
Dang.
So you met with Nate. You did a video with Nate, right?
I did. And Nate was just so everyone knows, Nate is the they're all these guys are different walks of life. It sounds like Nate is a college student here at the local university. And, he even said that he was skeptical at first about the job posting because he was like, this just seems not too good to be true. He was serving and making about as much, but when COVID hit, he couldn't serve anymore. And he said once David gave him the contract that, you know, this is a job, the driver contract, he felt more secure that he wasn't going to just like not hear from David ever again and not get paid. So just as something for everyone to understand, like people may be skeptical at first because it does kind of sound too good to be true, but give them that validation that like you're there, you're serious, you're doing this.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think he even had somebody question him, and then he had the contract like there to show him. He's like, no, I'm literally looking for houses. Not that he needed to do that, but it definitely like gave him in particular a lot of confidence.
Well, the other thing I tell people is that our landing page, if you have the enterprise plan and that's how you're using to recruit drivers, like it doesn't look spammy. The nice thing about it is our developing team has done a great job making it look very professional, very clean. It does not look like it's sign up now and start earning $20 an hour.
Yeah.
Jeremy's asking how you need to structure payments and taxes of your drivers. You leave that up to them, right? Or do you pay them through, are they 1099? No.
Yeah, they're 1099. And the way that I do it, first of all, is I pay them with Venmo. So anyone who makes less than $600 from you in a year, like you don't have to report those taxes. So I recommend starting off with Venmo, because that way, you know, they're getting paid quickly, they're getting paid right away, they can see the payment happening. And then if they make more than $600, then set them up in like a payroll software. And we use Gusto for that. Gusto is Gusto. They handle all like the paperwork you'd have to do to be like compliant for taxes. So we just highly recommend doing it that way.
And you know what, guys, David did a whole video on this. Like he was so patient with me. I asked him to walk me through every little how to set up freaking DocuSign. Because I do want you guys to get a demo of this. So Hannah, could you drop that the recruitment 101? It's a little lengthy, guys, but I'm telling you, David goes into detail about how he did everything.
Yes. And also, so two things here. I see, I think it's Kydrick Cole. Hope I'm saying her name right. They just asked, is there an in-depth course we can purchase that will train us A to Z on setting up drivers? I think Hannah has a link. We have a challenge, and it is in-depth. It's exactly what you just said. But
it is also phenomenal. And it's at isn't it at a once in a lifetime price?
I think it's $99.
No, it's $49 right now.
Oh, okay.
It's at a discounted price, people, but you don't know when that's going to stop. And the new one starts on Monday. Am I right, Hannah? Monday. All right. Going back to the dashboard, there's two things that I really want to make sure they don't miss, because they're solid things.
Yeah, I'll do that. Go back to the dashboard.
So that little bell at the top right, that's your activity feed. That's huge. That's where you keep track of your drivers, what they add, what did you mail out, who's getting mail, all the things. Do you mind tapping on that there? Like, look at this magic. And what's so great, yet again, just got to give it out to our developers who are just phenomenal. Our CTO, Dave. I don't think he gets enough recognition here. We're going to just shout him out. You get to see literally everything. And then if you want to even see more, you can go in and click in, and you can actually see the map or the leads that that person added.
Mm-hmm.
And see, then you can go ahead and do it in little snippets. It's just the activity feed is so important to, if you have a question of what happened, did you get billed, anything like that, go to your activity feed. The next tab is your calendar feed, which is brand new. And it was requested by an actual DealMachine member and members. They voted on it on that feature upvote. And it shows you how many mailers you sent out, how much you're planning on spending through that.
That's right.
Look at that preview right there. And David, I'm sure, has the mail tracking, so he can actually see that mailer that he sent out and see where it's at below. It'll say like when it's in the area, when it dropped, all that good stuff. I will say that if you guys do ballpoint marketing though, that is with an actual stamp, so they can't scan it. So that's more of an estimated, just so that you guys have expectations properly set for that.
100%. All right, where should we go next?
All right, so map. We'll go map. So map is the best in Street Engine. That is when you're going to be using this. So big thing, I always just want to go over the basics. When you start driving, you're going to hit the arrow that's at the top, and then it's going to go blue, and it's going to lock into your location. Then on mobile, it's going to say start driving at the very bottom. You're going to hit start driving, and you're going to go. Now, you guys see these lines on David's screen right now, and that is his actual live routes showing while he's driving.
Look at that start driving button.
I can't even see it. Where did I see it?
You can't see.
I see raised hands. So then you get that little dashboard thing there. But go driving, see where it's going. If you are on professional or enterprise, you do have the actual route tracking where it shows the line, and those lines change when it's older. I've got some reds now that tells you how long I've been with DealMachine. And that's how you can know, hey, I haven't been in this area in a long time. I need some drivers to go over there. This also keeps your drivers from no excuses of driving in the same area. They should see that there's somebody who drove over here. And if they don't, so you can even say, hey, you saw the line, plus there are these little green houses if they added anything. So no excuses if they went over there and said, oh, I didn't know. Sorry. Give them the benefit of the doubt at first. But if it's a constant thing, you can look at David's even got some red. He got a lot of them. So a couple of things with driving as well. So you can search the map for a specific house in here with that search bar, and it will auto-populate. The other thing with the map, pin mode, tap to add mode, and crosshairs mode. Tap to add mode doesn't really need to be on if you're on web version. There's no real reason to do it. Tap to add mode, I will recommend when you're driving. It keeps you safe. It's just more efficient. I feel like I'm a worrywart. I just want y'all to be safe. Tap to add is where you actually tap it. The property's already added to your lead list. You can go back and erase it. Pin mode is where you tap the property, you view the information, and then you have to add it into your system and hit another button that says add lead. So I would recommend if you're driving doing tap to add, but you have your choice of either or. And crosshairs mode is on mobile, which it's not on web, but it's just where you can glide it over the houses and it'll tell you the whole kit and caboodle. Highlights. This is the last thing I'm going to really show you guys. And I'm even going to burst a bubble here. If you haven't been checking any of our sneak peeks, you need to, because highlights is going to get a glow up here in 2 weeks. So highlights right now, if you don't know, is you can go through the quick list. You can tap one of these. So if you want to just see all properties, they're all going to glow up here in green. If you want to see vacant, you can see all the vacant. If you want to see absentee, see David just did absentee owners. So
not too many in this neighborhood.
Not too many. So David probably wouldn't go driving in this area. If that's really what he was looking for, he probably wouldn't go over there. This is another great way that you can set up to have your drivers go in a certain area, because you can set a default for drivers. David, do you have one for your drivers? Yeah, you do. Nate told me he did.
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Do you find that they like that it helps them?
They love it. They tell me it's the best thing they've ever seen.
And then, so David made these, see how committed David is? You can tell he's tested this platform out so many times by some of the names on these presets. This is how legit our CEO is. So you can set up all of these presets. And you can do custom filters like below if you don't have a preset and you just want to play around with it. Okay, but the glow up part is, and I feel like I'm getting ready to rumble. All right. We're going to have planned route tracking here coming up. Okay. So what you'll be able to do is say, yo, I want vacant properties of owners that live out of state. Okay. So they're probably landlords that don't have a tenant. You can hit that, say start route, and it's going to show you like Google where to go and the fastest route to take to these properties. And it'll even say, listen, our dev guy, Ben, you were on here last time. I don't know if you're on here now, but Ben has given us 6 different language, like accents to go off of. Okay. So if I hear one complaint about you don't like the person's voice, I can't. And they'll tell you, turn right on da-da-da-da-da. Your property is on the right-hand side. And you literally can preview it before you even get to the dang property and just skip it. All right. Can I hear some like fire or something? Because this is amazing. Again, a lot of fire. A lot of fire. Had a lot of coffee today, guys. Sorry. Yes. Oh, David added the fire. Sorry. Thanks, David. Okay. So that's the main kit. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Jean. Okay. So going down to, oh, you guys are making my night. Thank you. I needed this. Yes, Louie. Oh, Hannah, I was about to comment on yours too. I need to calm down. Okay, so we're going to go into, y'all are making my heart happy tonight.
Oh, and Patrick Bondi is on here. He's actually starting at DealMachine December 1st.
Yeah. Oh, Patrick. Oh, hello.
I feel like we got to bring Patrick on the video.
We haven't met yet. Way to be acclimated to DealMachine. You get put on a live webinar.
Let's continue.
Yes. Leads list. Okay, so this, guys, is probably, stick with me here. This is the most complex thing out of the whole thing. I just dropped a video on it this last week. Watch it because this is a lot. This is a lot. Okay. 1, you can bulk edit what David's doing right now. He just selected 25 leads, but he could select all 21,000. He's not going to, though, because one time he selected all and skipped them all.
I did.
That was fun. Anyways, so you can do bulk editing. So see, David selected these, and now he has these options to start mailers, which will go to your default setting of what mailers.
Yes, Patrick.
Man.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going great. How are you?
Doing okay.
You're good.
Getting ready to watch some football here in a bit.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you are. Me too.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Patrick is coming on as a recruiter. We actually went from 15 to 40 full-time team members at DealMachine this year so far, and we don't plan on stopping. But one of the things that I think we may do for December.
Patrick, December 1st start date.
Our recruiter is hire drivers for you if you sign up for the enterprise plan in December. So just keep that in mind. That's something that we are planning. So if that sounds like really helpful, you know who to talk to. Just hit us up here in the support and ask about that.
Y'all, that deserves some more fire right there, having someone help you. Come on.
Patrick, you said that you're excited about football. What football game is going on?
Oh, the Cardinals are playing the Seahawks. So.
Okay. And you guys have fantasy leagues going on?
Oh, for sure. I had to swap out Carson since he got deemed out at the very last minute. So I was keeping an eye on that one.
Oh yeah, you
gotta just make a really quick change real quick right here.
Awesome. Well, thanks for jumping on. I really stay with us, please. Stay with us.
I was gonna say, Patrick, are you in Indy?
So I actually just accepted an offer on my house, and so I'll be moving to Indy mid-December.
Welcome to Naptown.
Congrats.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
So have you been with us the whole time, Patrick?
Yeah, I was actually at my girlfriend's house, or my girlfriend's parents' house, for dinner, and I left right afterwards and started the call on my way home.
Love it.
So
We're so honored.
yep,
Thanks
yep.
for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I saw it was about recruiting, so I was like, hey, might as well.
Exactly. All right. So Roger has a question. Can you highlight multiple criteria and create a preset, like vacant, absentee, pre-foreclosure? So here's how that works today, Roger. So there's like a bunch of custom filters options right here. You know, you can scroll through and configure a combination of these filters that you see here. These are just the quick lists that we were looking at first up here.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes confusing for people. The quick list, you can only select one. So if you do try to select two, it's not going to let you. So like David said, you go down to the custom and you can create whatever you would like. Just know that Terrence, or who asked that? Roger. Just as you filter through more and more, it will become less and less highlighted. So really kind of, I would suggest staying within the 3 to 4 highlight criteria. More than that, you're really gonna have a hard time finding some.
Yeah. Anything else on the map that we need to cover?
No, I think that we got map is Gouda.
All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We already went to the leads view. So,
yeah. So I was just going through really quickly the start mailers, changing status, guys. We want to know when you win a lead. We want to know, you know, when you want to unqualify somebody, this is how you do it. These lead statuses are huge. And this is a part of the CRM, is keeping up to date with these leads that come in. So just so everyone knows, because I know I didn't know when I first started, pending approval means that you have not sent marketing out yet. Once you start sending out marketing, it's going to change from pending approval. So pending approval is a really great status to put as a preset for leads that you haven't started marketing with. So you can sit down and say, okay, I need all my pending approval that match this criteria. Okay, then I'll approve them. You got your with marketing complete. That will turn on once you're, whether you're doing the same postcard on repeat or if you have our campaigns feature, that'll switch on once that rotation is over, the one that you set up. But changing your status is really important. I know we're going to have questions about follow-up. There is a follow-up, but we do have a hack on how to do that, and it's on the YouTube channel. Because right now we're working on our task management system in our CRM, but we do have some workarounds for right now while we do that. So then there's also adding to a list. So you guys know we have list builder, but you can also create your own, you know, organize of your organic lists. So I personally have one for my virtual driving for dollars. And so you can do it for like different areas, or however you want to organize, you can create and organize your leads into lists. You can skip trace all of them. It is 17 cents on basic professional. It's 15 cents on enterprise. And then it is going to be 30 cents and 33 cents for corporate skip trace to your plan. And then when you go to more, you'll see
more. This more?
No, up more. Yep. Pause mailers. And so you can pause your mailers if you want to maybe, you know, go in there and tinker with the template or something like that. Your mailing options, maybe you have different campaigns. So a lot of our enterprise members and professional who do a lot of marketing have one for absentee. Do you have one? Do you have campaign set up on this one? There's an owner, yeah. So for foreclosures, David's got some great ones. So you can then filter and then do a bulk mailing to make sure it's going with that specific campaign that you're doing. Going into exporting leads, if you need to, this is where you find it, and you will get an email that will give you that export file. And then permanently delete, there is a deal status that says trash. That does not mean that it's like completely gone. Not until you press that permanently delete is it gone and it's out of your system. Because even if it's in trash, if you tried to add that property, it won't let you. It'll say you already added it and it's in trash. Someone did ask earlier how to import a list. So there's an import button right there that you can go down. Guys, this mapping is so easy. I know I'm biased, but like it's really easy. And all you have to do is have the full address. And it doesn't matter if the Excel sheet is in whatever format, as long as you can give us the street address, the city, the state, the zip, you can get it into DealMachine. And actually, our dev team just made it to where you can now import email and phone numbers. So if you have a lot that are skip traced, you can import them all into DealMachine. And you can manually add in leads, but I'm telling you, if any of you drove for dollars the old way and you have a list and you already have it in an Excel file, just import it, because that's going to take a lot of time. Oh, we skipped to settings.
I think when I imported it, it took me there.
Oh, okay. And the next big thing, and this is the last one I'm going to really touch on. Again, if you guys want more like in-depth of how to really work the system, there are a ton of videos on YouTube. We have them in playlists. But the filter leads is the other big thing that you can do here. So again, this is going to look like our highlighting properties. You have your presets and you can have those custom filters. So I recommend, and I'm sure David can give his opinion on this too, but I set up ones where I know Monday morning I can sit down and it is pending approval. It's in the area I want and it's sold over 5 years ago. That way I can just hit that preset. I don't have to fiddle around with all of it.
Right. There's the presets.
And you can edit all of them by clicking on that little, yeah.
You sure can.
Pencil.
Yep.
Okay, that's all. That's the main thing that I would think for that. The driving, this is Street Engine. David kind of went over this. David, I did have someone asking about the training videos. Do you mind showing your training portal really quick?
Yeah, so if you go on to drivers, you can click recruit drivers, and then you can set up a landing page for your drivers. Mine is a custom URL here that says DealMachine, there it is.
Guys, look how pretty this is. Josh.
It is Josh. Yeah, so this is like a page for your own business where you can direct people to sign up, which is part of our recruitment process for drivers. You know, you run the ad on Indeed or LinkedIn, and they apply, and instead of like reviewing their resume and doing a bunch of interviews, you reply back and says, you know, go ahead and sign up here, add 20 properties, and then message me back and I'll give you $20. And that'll narrow down your list from like 100 to like 2 drivers. And those are your serious drivers. And they already know about DealMachine because they just added all these properties. And the videos that they see, which is what you're asking.
David, just to give them an idea, you said you posted your job application. And again, it's in that video that David did, but you posted it on a what? Saturday? Friday?
A Sunday. It was
a Sunday. And you had how many by the next day applicants?
Well, so I paid to sponsor it, so it took a couple $100, but I had 183 applicants, if I remember correctly. After a couple of days.
And you got 4 drivers out of that.
I did, yeah. I really only wanted to hire 3, but I was like, well, I'll hire 4 just in case one fizzles out, and nobody fizzled out, so I've got 4 drivers.
So just so you guys realize the volume of it, don't get discouraged if you've got a lot of people interested and they all start falling off. Like, you gotta it's just the amount of people.
Yeah.
Okay, these are the training videos. Do you want to talk about them?
Sure. Yeah. So the welcome video is right here. Then you can select which video you want them to see, whether you're going to pay hourly per property, per closed deal, or you can upload a custom video of your own and put that in the dashboard. The distress level video talks about like properties that are really distressed versus properties that aren't so distressed. So depending on what you particularly want, you can show any one of these videos so they know exactly what to look for. There is also a video that teaches them how to take photos. So a lot of times they'll be like sideways, or they'll include their car in it because they're not aware that you're going to use that in your marketing on your postcards. So this video clarifies with them about why it's important to take these photos straight. This one tells them a little bit more about the app and about what to look for. And so, yeah, this is an example of the videos that they would see as a driver signing up.
And like David said, you can replace them. So if you wanted to do a different video, you don't have to make this one your payment video. There's not a title for it. So you can customize this literally to what you want it to be.
Right.
All right, moving on down. Next one. Got list engine.
Okay. So you could start with like a zip code, your city name, or an area on the map. So if I wanted to target this neighborhood right here, I could do that. Complete drawing. All right, there it is. And let's say I wanted to see if there's any absentee owners there, and there's 10 in that little neighborhood right there. And so just like the highlights feature like highlighted those properties, now this is gonna just like pull all those properties into your CRM at once. And then if you turn on smart lists, if there's transactions in that neighborhood and then like 11 are absentee owner, the smart list would keep that up to date in your list, and it would also automatically start marketing to those properties.
Yeah. And this is similar to what the route planning is going to look like for you guys, just so that you're aware. We try to make it, Dave, our CTO, has done a great job of making it look very familiar, so that way you guys know how to use it each time as we build more things.
Yeah.
And Ryan, we do keep historical webinar recordings. Everything here gets put on YouTube the next day, and we have it up there. We have ones dating from the beginning.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. And also, big thing with the leads or the list engine too, David not only has the ones he's built here, but he also has his organic ones or the ones he's imported. So you can manage those as well. And a fun thing about the list engine is, do you mind tapping on one of those leads lists maybe? Yeah. So there's a breakdown here. So this is another reason why those deal statuses are so important, is because you can keep track of where you're at with that lead list. That's going to help you track things too with your KPIs. How well did this neighborhood do over this neighborhood, or how many did this? Like, it's a good way to keep track of that. Okay, next up is mailers, which I would say, actually, David, let's start with signatures first and work our way. I feel like the process is signatures first. That's your return mailing address. That's your phone number. That's what's going to go on the template. This is, now David has a lot because it's not because he's the CEO, he has enterprise. So enterprise, you can have multiple signatures. David has a great picture right there. He uses his headshot. Do you use your logo at all, or do you just use a headshot?
Oh, no, it's all about the face.
Yeah.
I feel like having a friendly face is that always is received better.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I'm always for, and also if you have an animal, definitely try to put them in there. If you have a family and you feel comfortable with it, that is also done very well for some of our members. So setting up your signature, like I said, your return address or anything needs to go in here. Then you go to your templates. This is where you're going to make the main meat here of your campaigns. So we have, gosh, how many templates now? We have 11 or so. We have a lot. And we all have samples of them here. You can change the wording. I kind of recommend that. And if you want to make it more like personal, and then you can change the colors, which I also recommend, because say someone else is using DealMachine in your area, you want your postcard to stand out. So change the color to make it pop. You don't want them getting the same postcard that is the same color as everyone else's.
Right.
And you can now actually use a template image. So if you don't want to put the picture of the property on there, down below you can actually upload your own. You could upload, so you could have your logo and your face on it at the same time. And those can actually go for photos that, or properties maybe that you forgot to take a picture of. You can have this default for that. So setting up templates, guys, I'm not gonna lie, is the most time-consuming thing, because you have to make sure that they're professional. You're spending money on these things. Make sure that they look good. Another thing, you know, David, we saw his face in that little round circle. Doesn't mean that it's gonna fit into his postcard. So I always say preview the postcard after you upload the photo. So that way you make sure your face isn't chopped off.
Right.
I had a guy one time who chopped off his wife's head a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, and then he changed it to his family picture and he had collars. So, and also, just so y'all know, there's a video dropping on Monday about how to take a headshot without a professional photographer. Just so you guys are aware, the do's and don'ts of what you should add to your marketing. They may be little things, but I'm telling y'all have mainly smartphones. It's not as hard as you think, and you all are beautiful, so you should feel good about putting your picture on a postcard.
Right. So
Okay.
the campaigns is actually just going to be a sequence of templates. So if you have 5 templates, and this is like more advanced, I wouldn't do this unless you've done 5 deals and you want to get more sophisticated. But it'll let you send the classic first, then it'll let you send like template B next, then template C next, and then finish off with a strong template D. You know, whatever it is you want to say differently on the first one versus the middle or the end. And the campaign lets you build like a step of these different templates exactly how you want. So this is just like a custom add-on feature, not something too important for you to figure out, but something that's kind of nice to have.
Gregory, that is what the route planner is actually going to do for you, is you'll be able to get your list route planned. So that's coming out in a couple weeks here. So keep your eyes peeled. Trust me, we'll let you know. Promise. Ryan, I can tell you, Ryan, yes, Hannah already answered you. It is not going to mess it up. We just had a success call for a gentleman named Matt, and he actually runs for dollars. So he says that he tracks every single time he runs. So it will not mess up for you. Okay.
Cool. So team is just who has access to your account, and you can divide that up by the like CRM, the street engine, or the list engine. And especially on the street engine, if they're a driver, they won't have access to all your information. But if you do it like a spouse or a team member that you want to have access to all your information, then you can actually give them a partner level access. The partner gives you just a lot of configuration options. Like you can give them all these options or take it away, whatever is right for you. Oops. Well, there's how to ask for help and support. It's on the bottom.
It's that easy.
Get free leads. It's just like if you want to share DealMachine with a friend and they sign up, you both get $5 of credits. And that's what you see up here. I had a lot of people sign up with my code.
It's a lot of $5 right there.
All right. The profile, a lot of this is fairly self-explanatory, but I just want you to know it's here. Under billing, it's going to list like how many deal credits you have, what credit card you're using, and also what products you currently have. There's your card down there at the bottom. Default mailing options is for new deals added. If you want to default them to a certain template with repeat mail settings of 21 days and 3 times, then you could do that. And then any new deals that you add will have that default mail setting. The tags are defaulted to stuff that you're going to want to look for. Tall grass, stuffed mailbox, handicap ramp, broken windows, boarded up windows. This is a good mind jogger for you. And you can even add your own custom ones. I did some gibberish ones just to test it out. Okay. Badges are just like fun things that you can achieve that are all geared towards your success, you know, like driving those 100 miles. So you can check out your badges page and see what type of badges you can earn. And here's some more settings about like, this is like a master off switch. If you don't want any mail to send out, or you just click this and it'll stop everything. Let's see. Louis said, you guys have any examples when a person is a realtor? And as a matter of fact, I do. So if you click on templates, there's a spot at the bottom. Sorry, it's actually your signatures. If you're a realtor, you may need to disclose your MLS number. And so that's when you'd put that right here in the disclosure section, and that would actually go on your mail. So this is another spot to import your list, and then you can connect DealMachine to some other apps that you might be using. And then also there's this request feature page that we listen to and that we use to decide what features to design next.
Yep.
So that pretty much concludes the demo. I'm just looking through the questions here if there's any final things that we can answer.
Thanks, Louie.
Thank you, Louie.
Thank you guys for using emojis.
Oh, we love the emojis.
Love the emojis.
Well, great. If you guys have any more questions, please reach out and we will help you. Any other closing thoughts, Elise?
If you guys would like more or have more, come up with more questions, do sign in on our YouTube channel tomorrow. There's a live at 2 o'clock that I'm doing that I would love to have every single one of you on and join me. Tomorrow is going to be just a demo, but also going over talking about the 30-day challenge and things like that, because it is starting on Monday for you guys. So please come join me tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right. Louis said, can we do Zooms more often? So we do this every 2 weeks, but I do live training like every day. So if you need to sign up for some training, you know, let's see. Here's a URL for you. And also, Elise is live every day. Are you live every day?
I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Got it. So live YouTubes.
Ryan, I have dabbled. I've had a handful of appointments, but I have not actually closed a deal yet. And honestly, DealMachine got so busy that I did not have time to try to wholesale. But I'm hoping to have a friend take over my my hustle for me because I have drivers. So hopefully you'll be hearing my deal story here soon.
And I have not yet, but 2021, here we come. So
oh snap!
Excited.
Thanks, guys. Hope you have a great night, and we're here for you. Reach out.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Stay safe.
Good night.
Bye.